I am so excited to be cooking today with Jenn Segal of Once Upon a Chef, who has her new cookbook, Once Upon a Chef, the cookbook. Thank you for being here and sharing your recipes. So tell us a little bit about this book for people who aren't familiar with you. You know, you started out as a restaurant chef, but now you kind of guide people sort of towards easy home recipes, but that are a little more restaurant focused. Tell me about your site.
The book is really an extension of my blog, which I started in 2009. I worked in the restaurant business and went to culinary school when I was young, right after college, and I did that up until my son was born. After I had kids, I sort of needed to regroup and find a way that I could still work but be home with my son. I started this blog, and the idea was to take what I learned in the restaurant business and sort of parlay it into delicious but doable recipes for busy families, because that's really what I was looking for at the time.
Right, and I think that for a lot of people, you know, when we look at a lot of these like easy recipes, like they feel kind of, not depressing, but like so simple that you're just like, okay, well, like I don't want, you know, like I'm better than this.
Totally.
And so do you think that that's kind of been at the intersection of the popularity of your blog, is this like desire for things to be easy, but also like we want it to look good?
Yeah, and I think just because something's easy doesn't mean it can't be really good. It's about sort of finding that collection of recipes that are both. You know, there are so many super gourmet recipes you can make that are also really easy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to spend hours and hours in the kitchen to make wonderful food. You just have to sort of curate those recipes that are, you know, both delicious and doable and feel a little bit elevated.
And so today we're doing a recipe that perfectly fits that bill, because we're doing a grilled cheese, but we are doing like the ultimate elevated grilled cheese. So tell us about what we're making.
So we are gonna do a grilled cheese with smoked Gouda and pesto.
All right, so talk to me about pesto. You actually have a lot of really awesome pestos in your book. I was looking at some that use walnuts, use different types of, you know, ingredients, but here, this is a pretty classic pesto. Talk us through the pesto.
Okay, so this one is really traditional. So yeah, we're just using basil. We're gonna start with the nuts and the garlic.
Perfect.
I am gonna just toss these in here. And then the garlic, so we're gonna just blend that until it's kind of like a paste. So then we're gonna add a couple of handfuls here of fresh basil. Okay.
Yeah, flying basil.
So let's grind that up. Just get the nuts, they tend to stick to the sides.
Okay, ready.
Now we're just gonna add the olive oil.
Last but not least, yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna add the cheese. It's about a half cup of good Parmesan cheese.
Right.
And nice pinch of salt.
And again,
Don't be shy with the salt.
Yeah, because we are really making, I mean, this is a recipe that is like pesto, cheese, bread, like you need good, like this is good Parmesan cheese, good smoked Gouda, like you want everything to kind of be in the right.
That's a great thing about pesto. So if you have like a ton of basil that you want to use up end of the summer, you can make it in advance. You can freeze it in a little ice cube tray, which is great because then you can just defrost it as needed. Like if you want to toss an ice cube of pesto into a soup, or you know, make these sandwiches or pasta, but you want to make sure that you freeze it in small portions. You know, if you want to put it in the fridge, you just want to like put a little thin layer of olive oil over it so it doesn't oxidize and turn brown.
Okay, so we have our beautiful pesto, which can be made ahead. Now we are ready for the good stuff. We are ready for the grilled cheese. So what do we begin?
Okay, super easy. So we're just going to butter the bread on both sides.
Yes, and this is really key here, this like butter on all sides.
Yes, got to have a lot of butter. Which just makes it nice and crispy, and I prefer to butter the bread rather than to put the butter in the pan, because butter burns really easily. So if you just put it on the bread, you won't have that problem. So then we're just gonna smear a little bit of the pesto on the inside.
And so no butter on the inside? Just
no,
butter on
just
the
on the outside, both sides.
Pesto on the inside, butter on the outside, okay.
And then...
And again, like you don't want to get too thick here, you know, is that...
It's really garlicky, so you have to be careful. And so then we're just gonna layer up the cheese. You can grate the cheese, you can slice it, it doesn't really matter.
But you do want it to be in thin slices. So
so it melts.
And again, all on one side.
Yep, and then just put that in the pan. You can hear it sizzle. And then you can cover the pan that sometimes helps it melt a little bit faster, but if you're not in a hurry, it doesn't matter. And then just sort of make your little sandwich. And then you're just gonna cook it a few minutes on each side until it's golden and the cheese is melted, and that's it.
How do you know when you're getting to the point where you should flip it? Like, what are the signs?
You kind of have to peek. You have to peek, but I always, like when the cheese is mostly melted, that's usually a good sign.
Right.
But you do have to kind of know your own stove and your own pan, because grilled cheese, it's easy to burn grilled cheese, as easy as it is to make.
So don't walk away.
Don't walk away.
And let's talk about the bread, because I think having the right kind of bread is really key here as well. Like if you have something too thick or too thin, you know, what do you tend to go for?
So, I mean, like what we have here is perfect, just like an Italian or French loaf, like sliced about a ½ inch thick is perfect.
Wonderful.
All right, so this is done.
Oh my God, amazing.
So we can just put it here. We'll just
Perfect, slightly elevated, restaurant quality, once upon a
grilled
chef.
cheese up.
Grilled cheese.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Jen, so much for coming and cooking in the kitchen and sharing your new book with us. The book is Once Upon a Chef. The blog is Once Upon a Chef. Jenn Segal, thank you so much for being here. Cheers. Oh my God, that's so good.